Welcome to Who Put This On, Season 5, Episode 18, where we watch I Can See Your Voice, Season 1, Episode 1. I'm Chris Lorenz.
This is Brian.
Noah Singer.
Robert Kitts.
I Can See Your Max.
Welcome, Max. And if this is your first time listening, we do a different reality show each week. We review, critique, make fun of, just kind of lounge in misery. I have a feeling this week. But anyway, Rob, why don't you give us the show description for this one?
Each week, one contestant will have the chance to win a cash prize if he or she can tell the difference between the good and bad singers without ever hearing them sing a note. Helping the contestants navigate through rounds of lip sync challenges, hilarious hidden clues, and true or false evidence will be a panel of celebrity comedians / experts and a musical superstar. In the end, the singers whom the contestants pick will reveal if they are good or bad in a duet performance with the musical superstar, resulting in an amazing musical collaboration or a totally hilarious train wreck. That's I Can See Your Voice on Fox.
And it sounds just as bad as it is, I think.
A lot of words needed air quotes in that show description, for sure. I might have set a record.
Yeah. So in a sense, this is kind of like a game show. Contestant comes in and has like 6 people and does some random ass guessing. And if they guess all the way to the end, they win the grand prize. That's kind of, we'll go through the guessing and all the other people involved, I guess, in the minutia segment. There's nothing like anything really revelatory about it. But man, the reason we did the show, Rob, can you explain why we did the show?
So this show is Fox trying to continue to create the Masked Singer expanded universe and capitalize on the success it's had with that show. So the Masked Singer also returned tonight, which is very exciting news. And this show is hosted by Ken Jeong, who is prominently a part of the Masked Singer. And they're just finding a way to... So the Masked Singer, you hear the voice, you don't see who the person is because they're wearing a ridiculous costume. And this is the opposite, because you see the person, but you can't hear their voice. And that's so cool.
So one thing I think I remember is that like Masked Singer is also based elsewhere, and same with like I Can See Your Voice. Like these are both like international shows that like have come to America. Is that right?
They're both South Korean.
Oh, they're both South Korean. Oh, wow. So
Originally, yeah. There's a Filipino version of the show that's the same exact name. If you Google a show, you can find the Filipino version of this show. And I'm sure it's probably just as good.
with subtitles.
Maybe it's better. Who knows? I don't know.
Subtitles is perfect, though, because then you can literally see the voice, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly who's singing and who's not. Come on.
Yeah. So I guess before we get into the minutia, part of the minutia is that this is a game show and not a reality show. We don't really do game shows on this show.
Yeah, we might have messed up.
I did kind of realize last week that this was a game show when they said like, oh, somebody could win a prize by but at the end of the day, I think that we had to know what the continuation of the Masked Singer was. And we can all say that the sequel is far worse than the predecessor.
Hey. Speak for yourself.
Well,
Save it for the ratings.
All right. Well, we can save it for later, but there's going to be some pessimism for me for this whole episode if you've not already told. You can tell.
But you don't like the Masked Singer either, though. So, that was to be expected.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I cannot tell you how quickly I just zoned out of the show. Like, I don't think I made it 1 minute of this show.
One of the things about this show is there's lots of moments in the show where you can just totally close your eyes and not be looking at what's happening and not really be listening to what's happening and not miss anything. Because there's like, okay, now that you looked at your lip sync battle, who oh, well, I thought this, and like none of it matters. Like
Really? All right, let's start this off. So Ken Jeong comes out and says you can win $100,000, and we learn about our celebrity panel. This week's celebrity panel is Cheryl Hines, Arsenio Hall, Nick Lachey, Kelly Osbourne, Adrienne Houghton, and I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm sorry if I did that wrong. Because I don't know who that is. I don't know who she is.
I had to look it up who she was too. She was in some girl groups. Was her claim to fame?
Yeah, so she's like music celebrity.
You know what she was in, Noah. You know what she was in.
I don't think she was in Selling Sunset.
She was in season 2 of The Masked Singer.
Oh, she's
So
Masked
both-
Singer fame.
Adrian, like her original name was Adrian Bailon, so that's what they called her in The Masked Singer. I guess her married name is Adrian Houston, or however you say it. Both her and Kelly Osbourne were on previous seasons of The Masked Singer, so there's definitely some, commingling there. So now I'm like, Cheryl Hines, Arsenio Hall, Nick Lachey. Is this a season 4 spoiler we got going on here? That
I'm surprised at the level of celebrity they've kind of gotten here. Like Nick Lachey, I mean, he's reality. He's doing a bunch of his own stuff. So to come out and to do something like this,
well, this is the thing. Last season, I was like, Nick Lachey was someone who, like, I definitely guessed him more than once. I'm like, on The Masked Singer, I'm like, Nick Lachey seems like he is perfect for The Masked Singer because he's actually from a singing group and he's really in the reality show universe. And now he pops up here. I'm like, it's got to happen. Maybe it's not season 4, but like, it's only a matter of time for Nick Lachey pops up for The Masked Singer.
how much do you think he got paid more to do? So at the end of the episode, he does a duet with the like last person or whatever. How much more does he get paid for that?
Oh,
Not
man.
much. Yeah.
Like how much do you get paid in general to be on this? Like what's gonna get you out of your bedroom and into the set for the day? Like,
I think for people like Nick Lachey or like a lot of these judges, and the same thing goes for The Masked Singer, like they're getting paid something, but they're not in a position where they can negotiate that much. I think it's just that they're keeping their name out there for then other endorsement deals. I don't think, yeah,
to keep them at their C-list celebrity status.
exactly.
They're doing this stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
I don't know if I would wonder if there's some, like, Nick Lachey's in a lot of reality shows. So does he already have some deal with Fox for some other show? And then there's like a bunch of cross promo things like, hey, to fulfill this part of your contract, come on this show this one time. And like, it's this complicated web of legal that got Nick Lachey on here, but I have no idea.
Entirely
That's-
possible.
Yeah, it's the Fox extended universe, just like the MTV extended universe. Like people are like flying all around MTV. Now it's Fox trying to sort of the same shit.
Well, I mean, like you look at that way too. It's like Kelly Osbourne is like a classic like reality TV like star.
Yeah.
I don't. Is she on that daytime show or was she on that daytime?
Oh yeah. The
Whatever.
Viewers.
What? The View, I think,
The View,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was like barely in this episode. I don't think they cut to her like ever.
They
Not
did that
that-
one time.
Like so after the first round of seeing they went point by point to each one and asked their opinion. But after that, it was just like smattering of like their opinion. So it wasn't like let's get everyone 5 people's opinions. I mean, who gives a fuck? I mean, like,
In general, the judges didn't play a huge role, and even like the commentary, it was very light.
it was Arsenio Hall was there. He also like said nothing. The big-
He had some screen time.
He had
The
a lot of
biggest-
facial expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I missed a lot of that. I don't know. I was definitely listening. Can't say I was actively watching a whole lot.
When Chris's eyes were rolling to the back of his head, he missed some of Arsenio
it's
Hall's.
just like-
Arsenio Hall doesn't still have a show, does he?
I don't think so.
Definitely, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised he has a podcast, but I don't think he has a TV show.
And what has Cheryl Hines been up to since Curb? Like, the only thing I know her from is Curb. Your Enthusiasm. We need some internet corner to get on it.
Yeah, let's see what Cheryl Hines is up to. But I'm in the same boat. Like I always just think of her as Cheryl
Yeah.
David, and just like, wait, you're out of character. What are you doing?
If
I
Larry
guess
shows up for this, oh my god.
Yeah,
we gotta talk about Ken Jeong and how fucking terrible he was. He was so bad. He's just not funny.
In a way, though, like, and again, this is like I found him less annoying than the Masked Singer, because in the Masked Singer, it's like, Ken, you got to say the funny stuff every time, and he's just trying so hard, and it's so bad. Here, like, he kind of had too many things that he had to say just as a host, and it kind of kept down him trying to be funny. I felt.
I just like, so like there's one thing where like you're trying to guess these voices, but then Ken Jeong's trying to make it funny, and this whole show was just not funny. And like they had some barely like laughs from the audience that they like tried to punch up, and it just like no one's believing that. It was bad. He was bad.
I was actually going to say it until you mentioned the audience piece that like, oh, but a lot of people probably think Ken Jeong's funny. It's just us. Like, we're the outcasts. No, maybe not.
I don't think the audience really laughed. I think they had to like force some laughter out of them.
Hit a button. Why have the audience anyway?
Yes, Noah.
Oh man, so I'm in the corner with Cheryl Hines, and she has a lot of like cameos on a lot of shows. Like that seems to be her gig, but definitely peak career for her. She played Susan on Pickle and Peanut in 2017.
Wow.
Noah, can you explain to the audience and me what the fuck a pickle and peanut is?
So, for those of you who aren't aware of Pickle and Peanut, you're in for a treat. Disney has a channel, or at least had a channel, called Disney XD, which is what you watched theoretically in between Nickelodeon and MTV. So when you're like 13 or 14, you watch Disney.
That's squarely
XD.
MTV time, Noah. Like that's.
Well, this is like in theory, you're supposed to watch it as like a preteen, like early teen. So they had a cartoon show that you could think of like the child of Ren and Stimpy, but not too crazy, where it's like South Park, called Pickle and Peanut, that stars a pickle and a peanut. And they go on adventures. And somehow Cheryl Hines got in the mix with Pickle and Peanut. God bless her soul.
Okay.
One
The tamer
time,
version of Rick and Morty.
one time, a bunch of us may or may not have had edibles, and Noah convinced us to watch Pickle and Peanut, and we all universally despised it, except for Noah.
How's Curb Your Enthusiasm not the peak? Anyway, I guess that was a part of the joke. I didn't even get. So thank you, Max, for explaining the joke. Now I get it.
Hey Noah, if Pickle and Peanuts was on a Disney show, why isn't it on Disney Plus now?
Let me see Disney XD's affiliation with Disney Plus, and we'll go back to that.
Well, that other, like,
affiliation. It's in the name.
I know, but it's unclear if the Disney XD catalog made it.
Okay. That other game show that we watched, the Star Wars one, was also not on Disney Plus. Like, and yet it's Disney. So I don't know what they're doing. Like, let's just let them do their thing.
Anyway, so getting back to the show, we've got our contestant comes out. I don't really remember her name. I think her name was Cheryl or something, and she does some office work. I don't know. So they asked her
Data-driven decisions.
Yeah, she asked her what she was going to do with the money. She said she was going to go back to school to get medical billing and coding degree, which I can't imagine how boring that would be. Although that might be more interesting than this show, but like a lot longer. And
her name is Shannon.
Shannon, thank you. I was like, after it went by, I'm like, crap, missed it. Okay, so we got her. She's out there. Then we get introduced to 6 singers. Whether they are good or bad, we do not know at this point. They are dressed in some sort of like outfit and given a name. So we've got the stylist, the football player, the golfer, the mathlete, the counselor, and the rock climber. And these are really fit into like some real tropes. Like the mathlete, like what does a general mathlete look like? Like looks like a normal fucking person. Like they do math. But no. Now when you're a caricature of a mathlete, and you've got the messed up hair, but like her outfit looked fine, which probably a mathlete wouldn't probably look that way, but like, I don't know.
It was in between like vaudeville of like really playing up a stereotype and a porno where they really play up a stereotype. The mathlete specifically, because she was very attractive, dressed in like her schoolgirl outfit. It was sending really bad vibes for a family TV show.
Yeah, I don't know where your
There's
head.
a lot of bad vibes in here, though.
I guess we know where your head was at, Noah.
Oh, it was very clear. There's a mathlete and a football player. They're gonna do a duet. What's gonna happen?
That doesn't matter. So after they introduce these people, we get a lip sync battle between the three gentlemen. And then the celebrity judges came in, said who they thought was going to be the good or bad singer. And then she picked the golfer. I guess we have to talk about, she picks all these people. If she picks it right, she gets $10,000 in some sort of bank. And at the end, you can either take what you've banked or bet that the last person is a good singer and win $100,000. Whatever, doesn't matter. She picks the golfer, which was a good singer, so she did not win $10,000. Rob, did you think the golfer was a good singer?
I did think the golfer was a good singer, and so did Nick Lachey, who gave me some Robin Thicke vibes of this is the one on the panel I should trust with his opinions.
It is true. All four of the other ones thought it was the golfer was the bad singer.
I mean, the person in the music industry had a good opinion on people in the music industry. Holy stars!
It's crazy.
You think being on The Masked Singer, though, that would give you some leg up in this?
It's different in the mask, Chris.
It's different when you're actually singing.
It's different when you can't see anything because you're in this insane costume.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the only segment that I felt was like pretty complete, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this show. Like, we like, you did the thing, you picked. Now what are we gonna do? Like, you just gonna do that again? Because that sounds really boring.
And they did do it again.
And guess what they did? They did all the females.
Well, I mean, like,
women. They did all the women. Blah blah blah.
You didn't think it was okay that they just did like two separate groups? Like that was okay.
I just like,
It's not interesting, Brian. That's the problem.
I just don't.
Like, Masked Singer just repeats the same shit like every single time. Like, they repeat the same single segment every single time. And this one, I'm like,
Brian, I'm coming into this, and I don't give a fuck. I saw those six people, and I was like, I could give no fucks about who could sing or not sing. And that show made it even worse. They never gave me like any like real indication to care or even care to guess who was good or bad. I really don't know.
no. But that's also like part of the game show thing where it's like, these are disposable people, so to speak. It's just, you're not going to see the next episode. Like, there's no investment.
I know. I just like, I was hoping that there was going to be a little more of like like the show would motivate me to guess or motivate me to care. And it didn't. It did nothing, of course. That's
Fair point.
like, I don't know what they could have done to do that, but definitely not what they did.
Yeah, the show definitely is a format where there's a lot of other like game show reality shows where it takes zero talent or like knowledge to play along as the audience. And I think that's like a really good format because then like families watching together, like everyone's on an even playing field. And this show is that, like, everyone's just fucking like winging it. It's just not appealing.
I don't know. I mean, like, there's something in Jeopardy where you like guess the question or like, you play Wheel of Fortune and you're like, ooh, what's that puzzle? Like, because it's like, seems like a good question. But is it a good question to be like, watch somebody lip sync and ask if they're a good singer or not? No, that's just not a good question. No one cares. Anyway, the second person out of the women, she guessed the counselor, which was also, I think, in the same vein as Noah was thinking of earlier, in character wise, she had a bad voice, and I think the highlight of the episode is when the people with bad voices come out and they just own it. They're just singing their hearts out, and they're just bad. So I'll give them props for that.
That was a little bit frustrating to me because it was also like, I figured like they have some like stage presence because they're trying to be on this show, but you're not like hearing like, oh yeah, here's like you at your best. Like it's just you at your worst. Like, and it's hamming it up worst.
I guess another part of this is that while they're lip syncing, there's like on the bottom of the screen, it says good lip syncers are using their own voice and bad lip syncers are not, which is kind of obvious because the bad ones you wouldn't be able to tell if they were singing badly during the lip syncing contest. It is interesting that like you try to like hone in the voice to how they were singing, and it's just like, but they're lip syncing, so how does it like? How much can you really dig into that? It's just like, anyway. After lip syncing, we've got what did they do? They did Unlock My Life, where they played a video of the football players off the football player's phone.
That was so dumb. I hated this. It was, clearly a fake phone. They're not going to show you his real phone. It's just here's some clips and pictures of this guy's life presented as a phone for some reason.
Because everyone has a phone, Max. Come on.
Yeah, that was a terrible producer decision to tell that story. Like, I like the idea of the segment, but the phone is the wrong medium. Like, it'd just be like a treasure box or who knows.
Or just a video of their life.
Yeah.
So then the mathlete or the football player was the third guest, and he was also a bad singer. So now she's up to $20,000 in her her bank or whatever. Then after we got Unlock My Life, they did Secret Studio, where the person went in the back and they like sang into this microphone and they distorted the voice like a whole lot. Blah blah. She chose the mathlete to do that, and then the mathlete was chosen as a fourth guest, and she was also bad. And Max, could you tell me what the like notable thing the mathlete, like why she was a mathlete?
She could recite some number of digits of pi, and then she went off and started doing it. They really go for way too long. They sort of had to carry her off stage.
Yeah, there was like 30 digits. It was like 30 digits of pi. It was a lot. Like, we get it.
We were all saying on Zoom, like, we get it.
It's only like one microcosm of this show. So then we got the interrogation segment where the contestant got to ask somebody a bunch of questions. They asked the rock climber a bunch of questions and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. She guessed the rock climber was a bad singer, but the rock climber was a good singer. So she's still left with $30,000.
The rock climber was probably the best singer on the show. She was great.
She got a really good award. Like, once she mentioned it, like, I mean, everybody in the panel immediately recognized, like, oh shit, that's a real singer.
Yeah.
And then she like completely ignored those signs and then said, nope, you're out.
Yeah. I was hoping to do more like double entendres or puns. Like the rock climber could have been a rock singer, and do some like cheesy shit like that, but they didn't lean into that.
Rob, when you were watching, were you like, any of you, were you trying to guess who the bad singer was?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the first round where they're just lip syncing and you're singing the first time, you kind of make some opinion. You kind of play along a little bit. And then it's like, well, I guess I'll just wait and find out. Like, I feel like there's not an ongoing comparison. Not really getting anything interesting to help you improve your decision.
You're not like doing any more comparisons after that.
Yeah.
It's all like you've learned more about one person, then you have to guess. Then you learn more about another person, you have to guess. It's not like where there's out of 3 people you have to choose.
Like this is, or might be a little might get a little spoiler at the end, but like the person she picked at the end, she saw him lip sync, decided he was good, and then basically didn't find anything else about him. She's like, oh, he's good. And that's it.
Yeah. So after she gets to this point where there's just the one person left, she gets to choose whether to risk it all her 30 grand and win 100 grand. Whether if this person's good, she wins 100. If not, she would lose it all.
I gotta be honest. I missed if Ken explained this at the start. So
He did not.
He did not. Okay, because so I thought she had 30,000 banked and she was going to win an extra 100,000. And then Ken was like, "Well, you're going to leave with 100,000." Like, what happened to 30,000? And he's like, "Well, you got to risk it." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "I had no idea this is."
I was really confused. So like Ken comes out and says you can win $100,000.
Yeah.
But then in between each like segment where you're guessing, they have this like bulletin board that comes up and it's got like $10,000 5 times and then 100,000 at the top. I'm like, so does she get a chance to win 160,000, like 150,000? Like what is this? And it's like, no, it's like the graphic makes no sense in the context of how the show actually works.
Very, very to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire throwback on the graphic.
It looked like that. Yeah, but it did not play out like that.
No.
Total head fake.
Show plays all. I mean, that's definitely a deal or no deal kind of situation.
Yeah, which to me makes 0 sense. Like the whole game then just gets like kind of tossed up in the air. It's like, are you going to play for the $100,000 at the end? Nothing else matters, or you're playing more practically and you're like, let me just build up my bank and obviously get the fuck out, because why am I risking this free money I already have in the bank?
Because they wouldn't pick you, Noah. That's why. They pick the people to be on the show that would risk it all. They don't pick Noah's.
Oh, they would definitely not pick me.
They
Yeah.
pick Shannon's. That are going to go out there and dance and be excited and just like blow their money. That's spoilers here. She risks it all. Who would have risked it all? Brian, would you have risked it all?
Absolutely not. Okay, there's actually one other aspect that I don't know if it was mentioned, that we don't know the ratio of good singers to bad singers.
They said that you wouldn't know.
They said you would?
You wouldn't.
Yeah, so like immediately like your bank is unknown. So like why would you do anything after that? That's just dumb as hell.
Maybe you had
Exactly.
$0 left.
Exactly. Like, yeah, the only reason would be you're at 0. Everything
Yeah.
else, like, you have such imperfect information. Like, it's worse than a toss of the dice. Like, I don't even know the
Oh.
right.
Well, hold on. Let's take a step back here. So there's got to be bad singers on this thing, right? So like,
I don't
if
even know if that's
you-
assured.
if it's like, say it's like 5-to-1 ratio, bad singers to good singers, like, and you pick all the good singers at the end, then the bad singer at the end, you'd win $0, but you'd have $0 to begin with because you had picked 5 good singers. There'd have to be 5 good singers for you to have $0 by like the end to risk it all.
They're never gonna do that because obviously like people are gonna see that episode and be like, why would I ever go on this? They're gonna have like a medium ratio and it's gonna fluctuate, and
But
maybe
there's
like
not a
once in while
whole
you-
lot of wiggle room here, guys. It's like get 3-3 or 4-2. Like, I don't 4-2 seems risky.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy you play is you go in saying, I'm choosing the same answer, regardless. Like, and then you bank 20 or 30,000 and you get the fuck out. Like, good game. An hour's worth of work.
Like,
I actually feel like it's such a small group that like if I went on a show and I only had 2 good singers and 4 bad singers, I'd be annoyed. I was like, hey, you're not setting me up for success here on the chance to win. Like, I definitely thought at the start there's got to be 3 and 3. Like that just I know. Oh, you don't know how many it's going to be. But like it's got to be a 3 and 3. Like how can it not be? And then it turned out to be 3 and 3. Like
I think
Well, you also-
they did this wrong They should have had rotating people come in where you always had like, introduce a new person when somebody gets kicked off. So then you like the ratios are kind of maintained and you have like a better guessing ratio.
We need some kind of if you are the one situation with a panel of like 40 people and you're picking some, but then new ones come in and it's just got this giant crew in front of you. That's what we need, right?
Yeah, that would have increased the show's watchability a whole lot, to be honest.
It would be a real troll move if they just had one where everybody was a good singer.
Yeah.
I mean, if everyone was good, there's no decisions to be made because you just go to the end. You have $0, so you're gonna risk it all anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the results of the South Korean show. They've had 5 seasons, and on Wikipedia, it's like really nicely color coded, so you can scan it pretty quickly. They've one episode I could see they've had 1 bad singer and 5 good singers, so
Wow.
super rare, right? They also play around with the number of contestants on the show, so it's not always 6, but generally, like let's say easily like 70-80% of the time, it's like 4-2-3-3.
I mean, it's got to
Okay.
be 4-2-3-3.
I just thought, what if there were all bad singers, and then you've banked 50,000, and you're like, oh, I've had 5 bad singers. The one that's left has got to be good, and then you risk it all, and then you lose.
Yeah,
that'd
that would
great.
be the troll move. All bad singers.
I gotta wonder like why they didn't go about the route of like, oh, you pick this person, you determine good or bad. Just guess that, and like you get 10K, and then at the end it's like, oh, if they're still good, you can get 100K. Otherwise, go take your money.
The other thing you could do is you have 12, but you only pick 6. And you're like, there's 12.
Ooh.
6 are good, 6 are bad.
Yeah,
And even
now
if
we're
you
getting-
picked 5 good, then there's still 1 good one out there. If you picked, and it's just like you can use the math to see how you're doing, but then you just have but the end decision, there's still some uncertainty there.
We're just talking, but like the money involved for the producers is too high for that. They're just not going to do that.
Mm.
I mean, as us watching it, that would be way better for sure.
What do you mean by the money thing?
Well, because like in order to find
Oh.
good singers, like there's another whole other level to find another 6 people.
That's easy. I was like,
All right, Noah, you go do it and come back to us.
it's like my whole family. But anyway, so one twist. Do you think the people they hire to be the singers, do you think some of them are fucking around with the producers? They're like, oh, I can't sing. And then once the person chooses it, they're like, I want this person to win. And they just belt it out. Like they basically keep the control of the game in their hands.
No, I don't think anyone cares that much. But I also think that like they have to set up that like the other stuff, like the interrogation piece and like the video piece. Like I don't think you'd have to hide it really well to like for the video stuff.
It's pretty easy to hide. If you're a good singer, I think it's easy to hide that you're a bad singer. If you're a real bad singer, I think it would be difficult then to just magically be a good singer.
I mean, you're a bad singer then. No? That's like a good singer can sing poorly, but like a bad singer can't sing good. Like, well, like that's just then they wouldn't be a
Well-
bad singer. No, I don't think that's the definition.
I just don't think anybody here is like that bad. Like I think there's like it's gonna be mediocre at best.
All right. We gotta move on. She risks it all, even though she had 30 grand in the bank. But the singer at the end was good and did a duet with Nick Lachey, and then the show was over, and she walked away with 100,000 or 50,000 if you take out taxes. And
She was happy. We were certainly happy the show was over.
Nope.
that I agree with you, Max. Are we ready for questions? You ready for questions?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Who's the worst human being?
Ken Jeong.
This week I'm gonna go with me for watching the show and making you watch the show, and I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart.
I would like to also elect Chris Lawrence.
That's fair. That's all fair. I'm sorry, everyone. I hope you listened to the podcast before you watched it. We're gonna get this out early, so pop it on.
I'm still going Ken Jeong for. He probably suggested this damn show, and no.
He has nothing to do with the South Korean version of the show, Brian. They're just bringing South Korean show over.
Brian, is it Ken Jeong or is it the producer that decided Ken Jeong was a good idea?
Both. Like,
is our
whoever greenlit this thing? Like,
is Arsenio? Are there some bad things in Arsenio's past? Is he the Jenny McCarthy of this? I feel like I didn't go to the Internet Corner, but I vaguely feel there are some things like that Arsenio is kind of a questionable character at this point. But I might be wrong. I might be confusing him with someone else.
No idea.
Noah's shaking his head, so I think I'm wrong. So we'll go with Chris, Ken Jeong, and that's our panel.
So is this the apex or downgrade for Ken Jeong?
I mean, Hangovers is apex, right? Like that's.
I mean, obviously.
I feel like Community. I don't know.
Community's at number 2, definitely. But Hangover, I was like.
I think the interesting question is this an upgrade or downgrade from The Masked Singer, which is a better show, but Ken is a piece of that versus being the host of the show?
Ooh.
He's getting paid more here. He's host.
He's getting paid more here, I'm sure.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I think it's always an upgrade when this is your show now. Like, this is Ken Jeong's show. Now, is that better than, being a part of one of the number 1 movies of a generation? Like, I don't know.
Oh, it's not better than Hangover. We're just comparing it to.
I was just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, what a downfall from like doing really fun movies to like reality show hosts. Like, that's like you're in free fall.
But like, you'd already fall into being a panelist on The Masked Singer as like his thing now. So like, I don't know if this is that. I don't know if this might be above that. I don't know.
It might be above that, but it's not like you didn't really elevate your game that much.
No, definitely not.
I mean, the output's not that good, but for a major network to come to you and be like, host this show, we're going to build it, like, that's very much a notch up. Even though the show sucks, it's a notch up.
All right. What's the most baffling or cringeworthy moment? I'm going to go with the whole thing. I don't really have any specifics, to be honest with you. Does anyone have one?
Do we think them singing badly is cringeworthy, or is that fine?
I thought it was
actually okay.
I thought
they were naming it up.
I don't know.
They were definitely told by the producers to do it as badly as possible.
Maybe the pie thing, that was kind of cringy. We went over that.
Noah's his hand up.
Yeah. So one of the things that really just got on my nerves. So there's vignette, as we talked about, they show you one of the contestants' phone. And the phone's wallpaper is of the contestant. It's, to me, very cringeworthy how narcissistic the contestant is, that their wallpaper is of them, especially the football player with his shirt off. A very odd choice. And then the really like squirming in my seat when she risked the $30,000 for the $100,000. Like, Shannon, why do that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Does anyone have any minor minutia? I don't really have any. No, you got one?
Yeah, so back in the phone segment, they actually had real app icons on the person's phone, and I love that they had Time Hop as one of the apps. Like, it's not like a major app, like it's known. So I thought that was like a nice little hat tip to my Time Hop people.
Do you think Time Hop is paying for that as advertising?
Definitely not. No.
Noah, for people who don't know, what is Time Hop?
Yeah. So for people who have Facebook, like sometimes you log in, it's like 7 years ago, this memory, right? Time Hop did that like before. And what you do is you integrate your social networks, it archives the content, and then it says this day last year, here's what you did on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, yada, yada, yada.
Thank you, Mr. Noah. I do actually have a minor minutia now that I look through my notes. There's a so every time they guess, the audience comes out and says, "Let's see your voice," and I hate it. It was terrible.
It's not like your favorite
Um,
minor minutia then.
It's not my favorite, but it is a minor minutia.
I don't know if this counts as a minor minutia. So when the golf got kicked off, they made a big production of bringing out this piano, and like this show's all about like wasting time because they have like barely 15 minutes of content. And I thought that was actually like a very effective way to kind of build sort of like, oh my gosh, this guy, they brought out a piano, is this guy going to be good? And then he was. And then later, the football player, they bring out an amp and he's got a guitar and he's plugging in the guitar, and then he was bad. I just thought that was a smart lean in to doing something to waste some time that was actually kind of interesting. So I applaud them on that.
Brian,
Okay, so I think it was the counselor who said that she was singing during Simon Cowell's 60th birthday party. And then one of the panelists was like, I'm pretty sure it was on a date at a restaurant. And I think it was a DJ. And there's like so many things wrong with that. It's like, A, like, why was she able to score a date reservation at this restaurant? B, how bad was that date? Like, that she remembered like the music instead of the date itself? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. It was a weird statement. I agree. I don't understand. All right. So, any drinking rules for this show? I think the idea for me would be you get hammered drunk in the first 5 minutes. So, hopefully, you pass out and the show's over. So, I'm going to say just chug every time Ken Jung's on the screen and pray.
I think the drinking rule is you watch The Masked Singer and get drunk during that, and then you're passed out before the show even starts. That's the real drinking rule.
Max, you got a drinking rule for me?
Sorry, I had interference for the last 10 seconds.
Drinking rule? Do you have one?
Drinking rule, yeah. Every time you can see your voice, just take a whole gallon of whiskey.
Brian, you have a drinking rule?
I was gonna say for the end one, if they're right, you have to not finish your drink. Otherwise, you have to finish your drink. I think it's gonna be like a more lost situation than anything else.
No,
I don't
you
think
have
this show. Oh, go ahead, Noah.
one? No, does Noah have one?
Yeah, there's two. One, you drink soju profusely, and just wonder how this got so many seasons in South Korea. The other one is you take a drink, you pour it over your electronics so the show doesn't go on.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that this show has so many seasons in South Korea and the Philippines.
Yeah.
I don't, we're just, white guys watching this thing. I don't understand, like, what demographic? I'm baffled.
That's actually another piece that we haven't really touched on is that like they're stereotyping pretty hard based on like some things. Like for example, the football player said like, "Oh, I was in a punk band," and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't have any tattoos. He's not a punk band." And then later with the phone segment, "Oh, he has a nose ring. Might be in a punk band." So it's a lot of stereotyping based off of like known stuff, and that's not great.
Rob,
I don't think this show lends itself well to drinking games because it's so very rigid. Of like there's things are going to happen at regular intervals. You can make a drinking game on that. That's not that interesting, and then nothing else happens. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
the real drinking rule is like, okay, drink when they guess and drink if they get it right, or drink.
yeah,
if
but
they
like
get it
that's
wrong.
when that's going to happen. It's not like, oh wait, drink that happen.
Finish your drink if she goes for it all. Like, I don't know. Like, I agree with you. It's not a great drinking rule kind of show. So, but, it's a question. What's the production schedule on this one, Rob?
So obviously, this is filmed top to bottom in a day. There's only a question of how many are they busting out in a day. The interesting thing is there's people in the crowd. So when do we think this was filmed?
Oh,
Or are the crowd shots fake? Are they pulling some like elaborate thing where people were sort of spread out that we could see on the stage? Is this some like, you know, long con that they filmed this in COVID times? Like that's where the real production questions are.
Yeah, so Simon Cowell turned 60 October 7th of the past year. So we know it's probably prior to then, because she's claiming after October 7th, because she's claiming she performed at his birthday. So we're in between like October 7th to like March 1st.
That's a really bold lie to say, just as like there's so little time. Why would you do that?
Rob, well, here's my take here. Let me give it to you. They filmed this thing in like, I don't know, January or like last winter.
Yeah.
And then they got the tape and they're like, this shit's fucking hot garbage. We're not releasing this. Then COVID comes out and they're like, fuck, what are we going to do? Well, we got that fucking shit ass show we could put on after, you know, this other crappy show and we'll be fine. And they did. And like, this is where we are. I don't think this was a throw it in the can.
I have a new drinking rule. If this show gets renewed, you go out and buy a 36 pack and you shotgun that on the balcony.
Okay.
Do you want to make a shotgun bet between Brian and Chris right now? Is that what we're doing?
I think that all of us need to shotgun a beer if the show gets renewed. I think that there's no like all the people on this podcast, we like suffer and now we have to suffer more.
So I actually have a very precise shooting schedule. They were looking for senior citizens to be in the crowd on I Can See Your Voice, to react to the voices. And they needed to be at the CBS lot on September 3rd.
2020?
2019.
2019.
So that's just one day. I can't find other shooting days, but that seems like probably at least the ballpark.
Interesting.
So they filmed this last September, and then to Chris's point, where they're like, "This is garbage. We were going to pair this with The Masked Singer. We can't." And now they're like, "We got nothing. Let's go."
It has to be.
There's gonna be a lot of those shows that are coming out. This is gonna be great.
Great.
And by great, I mean fucking terrible.
Like,
So great.
Like this is, if you've seen The Room, you know what? It's so bad. It's funny and good to watch. This is not it. 0%. This is just bad. I guess our final, second to last question is: who inspired this show? Like who are the mommies and daddy shows of this show?
I mean, the South Korean version.
I mean, obviously the South Korean version, obviously the Masked Singer. It's got a bit of that Deal or No Deal aspect to it.
Yeah.
It's got some stuff like way back in the day, like what's that daytime one they do now? Where everyone dresses up funny. Like it's got some of that.
The Price is Right.
Deal or Let's Make a Deal.
Let's make a deal. Like,
yeah, I see what you mean with Let's Make a Deal.
Like I think that this is a long-standing, just kind of like get a good testing on. We'll do some fun stuff, and then blah, 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 blah. Hopefully, you know, it's usually fun.
There's a little lip sync battle in here.
Lip sync battle, yeah. There's a lot of little stuff going on in here. I think it's a Frankenstein, in the best sense of the word, Frankenstein.
There was a pretty popular game show where they had actors come on and they would try to sell that they're like some other type of person. Then the contestant had to guess, like, are they really like a rocket scientist or is it all bullshit? I forgot the name of the show, but it was pretty popular, like I think in the 60s or so.
Yeah. I will probably skip that one too.
What was that bad show we watched called like Pro or Con or something? Like
Cooks
somebody
versus Cons.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, it was Cooks versus Con.
Cooks versus Cons. Yeah.
All right. So our last question is ratings. So we do a stack ranking system. So we rank against other reality shows. So you have a top third, middle third, or bottom third. So people stack rank in their stack rankings. As you'll see, As I'm going to go with mine this time, I'll go first, as if you haven't been listening to this for the last 40 minutes. Bottom of the bottom, you can see this in the bottom 5 coming up at the end of the season. Promise. Hashtag promise. Brian, what do you got?
I have 2 ratings for you. So the first rating is, as a reality show, this is a 1 out of 1. Or sorry, 1 out of 9. No, it is the bottom of the bottom because it's not a reality show. As a game show, though, it is also bottom of the bottom because it is fucking garbage.
Max, what do you got for me?
Bottom of the bottom. I don't want to waste another second of my precious lifetime thinking about this dumb show.
Rob, what do you got?
It's definitely a bottom third. I don't think I have anything funnier to say than what's already been said, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Noah, what do you got?
It's easily a bottom third show, but I really want to put it in the top just so we don't have to speak about this again at the end of the season. But yeah,
We're talking about the end of the season. I promise you.
Oh, I know. Bottom show. That sucks.
That's what we're gonna have to figure out if we have to chug a 36-pack.
Do we think this is in contention for the going to the Hall of Fame?
I think so. I
man.
really do.
I compare this to Chris Lynn Knows Best, but
Yeah, is it the end? I get that a lot zone.
It's definitely in there. What else have been people watching? Anyone watch anything fun?
Well, we've already mentioned it. We'll say Masked Singer's back tonight, and I've definitely been like, I don't know, do I really want to do it again? I'm kind of into I kind of want to see what they do with the quarantine filming. And then I saw on Instagram an ad, and there's a duet. There's 2 people in costumes that seem like they're related, and I was like, duet? Oh, interesting. So they're sucking me back in already.
They're pulling you in. They got that radar.
Well, I'll let you know when Nick Lachey gets unmasked.
Max, what do you got for me?
I've been watching 2 really excellent shows on HBO Max. The first is Raised by Wolves, which is a new sci-fi show executive produced by Ridley Scott. It's really good. And the other one is it's called The Vow. It's a documentary about the Nexium cult / multi-level marketing scam. It's fucking nuts. Love a good cult documentary.
I've been watching both of those. Well, I watched the first episode of The Vow. I thought that was really good. I haven't gotten around to it. Raised by Wolves definitely has me intrigued, but like is not pulling me in, and I can't determine why. I feel like it's too divorced from like our worlds in a way, but I'm hoping that it like picks a little up for me.
Yeah, it's keeping me engaged. I kind of want like a new scenery. I feel like there's like 5 sets they use.
You got to keep the budget low, dude. You got to all the CGI costs money.
But I think it's a really cool show.
HBO Max also has Lovecraft Country, which I've been watching, and that's been really cool. It's kind of like a horror anthology, like in Black lives in like the 50s up to today. It's really cool. Like I would definitely give the first episode a good shot. Like the first like episode and 1 and 2 are kind of like a 2-parter. Really cool. If you can tolerate horror, I'd really suggest those 2. Anyone else?
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear all these HBO shows. It's been a pain in the ass to watch HBO since they don't have it on Roku anymore. So I've been just like waiting for John Oliver to come out and watching something else on the back of that. But I'm in my free trial of Apple TV right now. So doing the morning show, which is actually pretty excellent. So I'd highly recommend that. And also there's Ted Lasso, which has Jason Sudeikis, who plays like a really hokey American guy who becomes a Premier League coach in England. Really easy watching, like easy to just like binge on. So Apple TV has been pretty fun to watch. The disappointment though, the Beastie Boys documentary. Love the Beastie Boys, and it's so painful to watch. like not like their story, just like the production of it, which is so sad. But they still make great music.
Thank you, Mr. Noah. Anyone else? All right. Well, that's it for us this week. Hopefully next week's better. I don't know what it's going to be. There's some new barbecuing show on Netflix, which I guarantee we will do, but I can't guarantee it'll be next week. So
After this, I want something fucking weird.
this wasn't weird enough for you? I don't know. I
No,
want
this
something
is to be
weird.
Max weird.
All right. We gotta go. You can reach out to us on Twitter at whoputthison. You can find us on facebook.com/whoputthison. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next time.
I really wanted her to like just be carted off as she was like reciting Pi. Like, just get her out of here.
You need the giant cane to come
Yeah,
out and just
that's what I was-
pull off.